welcome to this, the intelligence stack. So, if you walk into any corporate boardroom right now, or just listen to any earnings call, there's basically one word you're going to hear over and over.
Oh, yeah, agent.
Exactly. Agent. It's a total obsession right now. I mean, every chief data officer, every CIO you talk to, they're all in this massive rat race to build and deploy just as many AI agents as humanly possible.
Right. It's like they're keeping score purely on headcount, except the heads are digital.
Yeah, exactly.
And, the assumption across the whole enterprise landscape is basically that whoever deploys the most agents, the fastest, is going to win this next era of business. It's a genuine frenzy.
It really is.
But it's blinding a lot of very smart executives to a fundamental architectural reality.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because that assumption is exactly what we are tearing down today. What we're doing in this deep dive is we're looking past the hype to uncover the actual mechanics of enterprise AI over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Because here's the secret we're unpacking today for you. The agent count. It actually does not matter.
Total distraction.
It's a total distraction. The companies that are actually going to win the next 3 years of enterprise AI are not the ones hoarding the most autonomous bots. They are the ones building the platforms that those bots run on.
It really just comes down to where you are allocating your capital.
Well,
Like everyone is funding the surface level application, right?
right.
But they are completely starving the foundation.
It's basically a gold rush. And right now, every tech leader is maxing out the corporate credit card, buying the fanciest, most high-tech AI pickaxes they can find. But nobody is stopping to check if they've actually secured the gold mine.
No, exactly.
Or built a cart to carry the gold out. They're just swinging pickaxes in the dark.
And we have actually seen the precursor to this exact mistake before.
Yeah.
Like if you were working in enterprise tech between, say, 2018 and 2021, you definitely lived through the whole RPA craze.
Oh, wow, yeah. Robotic process automation. The great bot boom.
Yeah, exactly. Every single department was building their own little automated workflows in a complete silo. Finance had their bots. HR had theirs.
Customer service had another set.
Right. Companies built thousands of those RPA bots, just one isolated team at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And mechanically, it was a disaster.
Totally.
Each bot had its own login credentials hard-coded in. Each one had its own quirky maintenance schedule, completely different blind spots. Nobody at the executive level was actually owning the aggregate system.
It just turned into this sprawling maintenance nightmare.
It did, and it only got fixed when centralized governance finally stepped in and forced structural centers of excellence.
But, I mean, today's agents are so much more complex than those old RPA bots. Like, a rules-based bot is just following a very strict if-this-then-that script.
Right.
Today's AI agents are autonomous. They're, actively calling external tools. They're running Python code. They're writing data directly into production systems.
So the stakes are exponentially higher this time around. We are essentially watching that dynamic of isolated teams building their own silos repeat itself. But this time with software that makes probabilistic decisions.
Which is terrifying.
It is. And the data we have for 2026 paints a pretty brutal picture of where this leads. So S&P Global Market Intelligence shows that 42% of companies abandoned most of their AI initiatives in 2025.
Wait, really? 42% just pulled the plug entirely?
Completely abandoned them. The average firm scrapped 46% of its proofs of concept before they ever even touched a production environment.
That is wild.
And Gartner is predicting that 40% of agentic AI projects are going to be canceled by the end of 2027.
Wow. When people hear those numbers, the immediate instinct is to just blame the technology.
Oh, sure.
You hear that and think, oh, the AI models just aren't smart enough yet, or they hallucinate too much.
But the models are incredibly capable. A 2025 MIT Gen AI Divide report looked at this directly, and they found that 95% of AI pilots had zero measurable effect on profit and loss.
95%.
Right. And that failure rate isn't because the underlying neural networks are weak.
Yeah.
Gartner explicitly cites escalating costs, unclear business value, and just a total lack of risk controls.
So let's break down the mechanics of why these rollouts are actually failing. Forrester's 2026 research points out something pretty fundamental here. A long-running agent does not behave like a chatbot.
Right. It's not just a chat window.
You can't just plug it into a web interface and let it talk to a user.
Yeah.
It's like a city buying a fleet of 500 high-speed self-driving bullet trains but totally forgetting to lay down any tracks.
Yes.
Or build a traffic control center. Of course they're going to crash. They might be the most advanced trains in the world, but without the infrastructure, They're worse than useless. They're actively dangerous.
That's a great way to look at it because an agent actually behaves like a distributed system. Think about what it's actually doing behind the scenes. It receives a prompt, it pings a vector database for context, then it triggers an external API to check inventory. It reads a live CRM, synthesizes all that information, and then writes a new entry back to the database.
It requires massive orchestration.
Exactly. And most vendors out there right now are just doing what we call agent washing.
Agent washing, yeah.
They're taking their old rigid chatbots, slapping the word agentic on their marketing materials and selling them to executives who just don't know the difference.
Yeah.
Out of the thousands of vendors claiming to sell agentic AI, only about 130 actually have legitimate autonomous agent architectures.
So, since building isolated agents is leading to all this sprawl and failure, we actually need to ask, what exactly is this platform layer we should be building instead? Like, if I'm building those tracks for our bullet trains, what are the core pillars?
There are 4 necessary shared disciplines. The first one is observability. And for a traditional software application, observability usually just means checking uptime and latency, right? You ping a server to see if it's on.
Yeah, standard IT stuff.
Right. But for an AI agent, observability means tracing the exact reasoning path between a user's prompt and the agent's action.
Oh, wow. So you have to basically capture its internal monologue.
Exactly. Without that granular trace, you end up with what the industry calls a Klarna-style failure.
Right, which isn't like a giant, obvious server crash where everyone gets a 404 error and alarms go off.
No, it's a silent failure. A slow decline in user satisfaction over months, and nobody have any idea how to fix it because there's no obvious cause.
So that's observability. But just watching the train isn't enough. You have to know the tracks haven't worked over the last 6 months.
Right.
Which is where the second pillar comes in, which is evaluation.
Evaluation is continuously testing agent behavior against real-world tasks and weird edge cases. Forrester found a lot of failed deployments happen because of drift. Yeah, basically tests that look totally fine at launch just don't match what the agent encounters 6 months later in the wild.
Okay, so observability and evaluation. What's the third?
Compliance. And regulated industries know this pain intimately.
Oh, I bet.
The Federal Reserve has rules like SR 11-7, and they just rewrote it as SR 26-2 for model risk management. Currently, generative AI isn't even formally mapped in these regulations.
Which is just a massive gap that no single isolated team can fix.
Exactly. You need a centralized platform team to handle the audit logs and prove that the probabilistic models are gated. Which leads to the fourth pillar, data quality governance.
The big one.
It's the most consequential piece. An agent is literally only as good as the data it reads. Gartner says 60% of unsupported AI projects will fail by 2026 purely because of ungoverned data.
Okay, wait, I have to push back slightly here. Observability, evaluation, compliance, data quality.
Yeah.
Aren't these just standard IT checklist items? Like, why is this suddenly a unique, massive crisis just because we added AI to the mix?
What's fascinating here is the autonomy and the speed. Let's compare the blast radius.
Right.
If an old RPA bot hits bad data, it stops and throws an error code.
Right. It waits for a human.
But if an autonomous agent hits bad data, it hallucinates a rationale, bypasses the error, and can rewrite 10,000 records in your production CRM in a millisecond.
Oh, man. So it just confidently destroys your database before you even get an alert.
Exactly. The autonomy turns a minor data issue into a lethal corruption. And it's no coincidence that the industries with the heaviest compliance burdens are actually winning this race.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Banking and insurance are leading agent production adoption at 47%. Compare that to healthcare at 18% and government at 14%.
That makes total sense. They already understand the necessity of gating and shared infrastructure because regulators force them to.
Exactly.
So if these four pillars are so crucial, why are so many CDOs ignoring them? I mean, it comes down to capital allocation and budget sequencing, right?
Entirely.
Yeah.
Because if you build 10 separate agent pilots, that means funding 10 redundant setups for evaluation and compliance that don't even talk to each other.
Right.
The golden rule here is that the marginal cost per agent should fall as you build more.
Right.
If it isn't falling, you are missing the platform layer.
That's a great metric. And IBM's 2025 survey with Oxford Economics proves this out, right?
Yes. They found that centralized hub-and-spoke AI models yield 36% higher ROI.
36% is huge.
Meanwhile, layered-in data shows the average company has 23 active AI tools but fewer than 40% even have a complete inventory of them.
So they have 23 tools running around, don't even know what they are. That's terrifying.
But
if we want to see how to actually sequence this correctly, we have to look at the JP Morgan playbook.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they spent all of 2023 on pilots and hackathons, right? Like a whole year that others saw as just wasted time.
Yep.
Then, in summer 2024, they launched LLM Suite, which was a single internal platform with security and governance already built in.
And it hit 200,000 users in 8 months.
Organically. Because they built the plumbing first. And because they did that, by June 2026, they successfully deployed autonomous agents running for hours.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, not everyone has JP Morgan's $18 billion tech budget.
Right. Most companies definitely do not.
But the sequence is entirely copyable. Platform before portfolio, security before autonomy. That applies everywhere.
So the sequence makes perfect logical sense. But we have to examine the messy human element here, because this is an office politics nightmare.
Oh, it really is.
I mean, who actually owns the platform? No single executive does.
Right.
Platform engineering owns observability. The CDO owns data lineage. The CISO, or risk officer, owns compliance. And then the business units own the actual use cases.
Right.
So what does this all mean? This sounds brilliant on paper, but in reality, you're asking 4 different C-suite executives to surrender their individual AI budgets and share their toys. That's a political minefield.
It requires an explicit decision from the very top to create one shared budget, rather than letting teams quietly rebuild tech in their own silos.
But there's a major caveat here, too, isn't there? You can't just build the platform on day one.
Right. Do not build the platform too early. If you build it before running enough live pilots, you end up with an elaborate, completely empty structure.
A ghost town.
Exactly. The right sequence is run enough pilots to learn what you need, then build the platform, then scale agents cheaply.
But doing that brings up the uncomfortable truth about all this consolidation.
Yeah, consolidation reduces headcount.
Right.
A shared platform is efficient, precisely because it requires fewer people. This often leads to layoffs in operations. And executives know this, which makes them avoid the conversation entirely until it's too late.
They just kick the can down the road.
Exactly.
So to wrap this all up for you listening, every enterprise running these scattered agent pilots is taking a massive gamble. The ultimate test of your AI strategy isn't whether your agent works on an average day.
No, it's not.
It's whether you find out about a failure from your own internal evaluation dashboard, or from a regulator, a furious customer, or a front-page headline.
Exactly. And without that platform layer, you are guaranteeing it's going to be a headline.
So I want to leave you with one new angle to ponder on all this. If the real moat in enterprise AI isn't the AI models themselves, but actually the unglamorous governance and data platforms underneath them,
Right.
what happens to the mid-sized companies, the ones that just cannot afford to build a custom LLM suite?
That's the big question.
Are we about to see platform as a service, specifically for AI agent governance, become the next trillion-dollar tech sector?
It is highly likely, given everything we've talked about, that is exactly where the market has to go.
Somebody's got to build the tracks. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Keep thinking about those tracks, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.